What's up, Pisces? Welcome to January 2020. This is going to be your general reading, okay? This is going to be for you Pisces, Sun, Moon, Rising, and Venus signs. But of course, it's not going to resonate with all of you guys, so definitely check out your Moon, your Rising, and your Venus for added messages or just a clearer message that's fits you, okay? I want to thank all of you guys for coming here. If you are new to this channel, what's up? My name is Danny. If you are returning, what's up? I'm really excited to do this reading for you. I just want to thank you guys for all your support. Thank you for all the thumbs ups, the shares, the subscribes, the everything. I just really appreciate you. And please continue to do so. If you are interested in a personal reading, I definitely love to do those. So you can reach out to me at shesvibeytarot@gmail.com and we can get the ball rolling for you. If you would like to go over to my About tab, you can see my menu of services, pricing, all of that. So if you already have it figured out, it just makes things a little bit easier, a little bit smoother, and a little bit quicker. Okay. January is going to be a big month, obviously, for a lot of people. It's the beginning of the year, the beginning of a decade. There's so much planetary shit going on, like everyone's a little out of whack. But there's going to be some pretty explosive epiphanies and some beautiful new beginnings and endings and all of that, okay? And with you guys, it's no different. Last we talked, a lot of you guys had kind of connected with somebody or something that was like, it was a good look, but it was also like a message that, okay, like this is cute, but like take your time. There's more detail. There's more things you need to know. There's more that a lot of you too need to work on within yourself, right? In order to have the type of relationship that you want that's going to thrive and all of that, right? So here we are now in January, and in some ways I can see how this message is picked up. In other ways, this might be brand new for some of you guys, so definitely check out your other signs if it doesn't resonate, okay? Now, I do want to say, I started out this month, I wanted to do the empowering questions cards again because I thought those were really helpful. So the whole intention was, hey, what does Pisces need to be asking themselves this month in order to thrive and feel more abundant and confident and move forward and blah, blah, like all the good things, right? And you guys got, would I be proud of myself if I spoke to other people in the same way? Wait, I'm sorry, over. Would I be proud of myself if I spoke to other people in the same way as my thoughts speak to me? How do my thoughts speak to me? And yeah. That's a very important question. It's funny. I love how all the cards work together to kind of support that message, right? Because you guys, as your spirit animal guides, actually 2 cards popped out, and so we're going to honor them both. You've got the cosmic egg and the lizard. And even how these go together is like crazy to me. So the lizard, it's a very instinctual card. It's very much a card about like hypersensitivity, right? Lizards are very sensitive, right? Very sensitive, very in touch with their senses. This may be a time where you guys are feeling a bit overwhelmed. And you can be overwhelmed by duties. You can be overwhelmed, again, duties, responsibilities, people. If there are moments where you are, it's okay to pull back a bit, right, in order to maintain your sanity, because this is a very sensitive card. A lot of you guys, your spidey senses are really working for you right now in terms of like your intuition, which you guys are so intuitive. I tell you this all the time, like probably the most intuitive of the zodiac, outside of Cancer for me. So this is a very telepathic, very spiritual card, but whenever we're out of whack, we can often feel like imbalanced, and it can appear to other people that we're being flaky, right? And it's just because like you need those moments away. Now Pisces, I tell you all the time, you guys go into your own little universe where you're able to kind of detach, and that's great. But again, for other people, it can look as though you're being a bit flaky or don't care or just like so nonchalant about things that are important to them. But this is a month that you might be feeling a little bit hypersensitive, okay? So if there are moments that you need to kind of pull back, separate yourself, give yourself that moment, give yourself that space. Also, being mindful of what you're telling yourself in those times, right? Make sure that you're having those healthy talks, right? What is the way that we're talking to yourself, right? Are you being as kind to yourself and as open to yourself as you are with people around you that you love? That's a really big thing. And then we've got the cosmic egg, which is like the last card of the spiritual animal deck. It's all about completion. It's all about harmony. It's all about being one. It's very closely connected to the crown chakra, right? Which is all about that connection to source, that connection to spirit, being very tapped in. So again, a lot of you guys this month are going to be experiencing a lot of sensitivity. So if you need those moments to like pull back, it's okay. And maybe just say something so people don't think like you're flaking on them or whatever, right? Because I do feel like there are going to be those times this month of overwhelm, right? And then at the bottom of the deck, the unseen energy, you guys got the Wheel of Fortune, which we love. The Wheel of Fortune always spins in our favor, right? So this is also, along with the cosmic egg, talking about completion. This is a completion of a cycle. There's a lot of matters that you guys are going to have to face with self-love, I will say, this month. Going back to that question of how am I talking to myself, but also the Lover's card did pop out. And what's interesting is the Five of Swords popped out next to it, which we'll get into a little bit deeper. But I will say that for me, this all ties back to how you guys are treating yourself, how you guys are loving yourself, how you guys are speaking to yourself, and you'll understand why in a bit, okay? So, starting out, you guys got Ace of Swords, Page of Cups, and Four of Swords, okay? Look at all this purple and all this blue. So, again, purple is connected to source. It's connected to that seventh chakra. It's all about spirituality. Ace of Swords is a beautiful card because this is when we kind of get that aha moment. This is that epiphany. This is when we're understanding and having a better sense of our truth and truth around us and situations. It's also a time where, for some of you guys may be looking at things a little bit differently. Now, this is what's in your past position. So, I think there's been a lot of awareness that's come to you guys within the last month or so, especially in terms of, and I want to say relationships, but just in terms of what it is that you need to do in order to thrive yourself, right? Instead of going into this avoidant behavior, I think a lot of you guys are trying to face things dead on. And a lot of you guys, this does have to do with your certain relationships that you have, certain partnerships that you have. Page of Cups is all about a message that's coming towards you, right? Pages are always the messengers, and they always come when we're on the cusp of new things. It feels to me like a lot of you guys might be in this place where you've been trying to revisit a past relationship that maybe seemed as though it was dead and gone, right? I think that you guys are going into it with a different perspective, a whole new light, like trying to start things fresh. Again, that's what that Ace of Swords is all about, right? It's a new beginning in the way that you approach the situation, approach the relationship, approach your thinking around it. And I think that you guys are in this space where you're like, trying to tackle something and be really like pure with it and be really fair with it, right? Yes. So Four of Cups is clarifying that Ace of Swords. Four of Cups is that energy of being dissatisfied with the options that are in front of you, right? Being bored with it. So again, this could be something like, I don't know, it feels like a relationship that maybe you guys were in that kind of feel like it fell off emotionally, or you guys fell off emotionally. But now something has happened to where you're trying to revisit that, and you're trying to come at it from a whole new space and being very pure, very honest, all those things, right? Being very loving with that Page of Cups. Feeling very bad about the things that happened in the past. Five of Cups, clarifying that. So that's that guilt factor. That's that, whether this was, whether things ended badly on, because of you or because of the other person, there was guilt around it. And I feel like there was a lot of you guys kind of going back and forth in your mind, feeling like, I had this situation, it's messed up, and not realizing that there's newness all around you, newness right in front of you if you just turn around, right? In the original depictions in the Rider-Waite deck, you've got that person who's like focused on these 3 spilled cups, not even recognizing that there's 2 cups right behind him, right? So all hope is not lost. It's definitely kind of that down energy in terms of emotion, right? Because we're talking about cups here. So feeling like there's been a change, and I feel like a lot of you guys were trying to go back and rectify that, whether you have or have not. This was like, this is something that's probably happening right now. You guys trying to revisit something. My only concern is be really real with yourself about the reasons that you're trying to revisit this. Is it because you're bored? Is it because that you're lonely? Is it because you feel like you cannot find better? Is it because you really want to be there? You know what I mean? I don't think that revisiting old relationships is always necessarily bad. And I mean, unless it was a relationship that honestly didn't honor us, and maybe someone was terrible to us or didn't put forth the effort, that type of a thing. But I just want you guys to be very clear. If you are revisiting a situation, be very clear on why it is that you're revisiting it, right? Is it out of boredom? Is it out of feeling lack and feeling like you can't do better? Or is it out of almost like the laziness of like, I don't want to get to know someone else. I don't want to get to, I don't want to have to put myself in a new situation of vulnerability. Like, what is it really? Right? Because I think that that's going to be essential in you guys moving forward. Now the Four of Swords is all about that rest and relaxation, right? It's all about meditating. It's all about getting clear. It's all connected to that, again, that seventh chakra too. That's why you've got all this purple here. You've got this knight who is laying here after a battle. Remember, the Four of Swords, follows the Three of Swords, which is all about heartbreak, disappointment, that sort of thing, right? So this is like almost like getting that mental rest and relaxation after a hard time. For some of you guys, I feel like this is a situation where you might find that it's just done. You know what I mean? So you got the Justice card that's clarifying the Four of Swords. Justice is all about, number one, it's about justice being served, but it's also about balance, right? This is the sign of Libra. This is about being very balanced, balancing out the duality. There's a lot of duality poking up here in your read in terms of like with this Justice card. Even the Lovers card speaks very highly about, very much about duality. Whenever we get the Justice, it's always implying that not only is justice being served or whatever, it's kind of coming into this, like stepping into this oneness with oneself, really understanding oneself. And I feel like for you guys, that's kind of what's necessary. Again, for those of you guys who may be revisiting a situation that maybe didn't work out so well in the past, or like maybe someone betrayed you, hurt you in the past, or maybe you did that to the other person, really understanding what it is that you want going forward, not falling into a relationship by default, not falling into a relationship, going back to a relationship out of fear, and really understanding and being true to yourself over what it is that you want, right? Really finding that balance. Instead of moving so quickly forward to try to kind of fix something, really understanding why you're there. I think that's really, really necessary for you guys this month. So this month might bring things up to you that are a little bit hard to look at. I mean, look, we're about to have the eclipse, lunar eclipse on the 10th in Cancer, and that's all about our emotion, right? That's going to be heavy in our emotion. A lot of people are going to feel it very heavily, especially you guys. I mean, you are a water sign. You're going to feel it heavy because it's in the water aspect. But like, eclipses always happen when there's kind of something that needs to be eclipsed out, or it's like some truth that needs to be brought up for us to face, right? And for you guys, I think that this is going to be a very emotional time, but it's all for the better, because you guys are supposed to be really understanding why it is that you're doing some of the things that you're doing. I think that some of the things that you guys are doing and some of the ways that you're moving, it's just by default. And at the bottom of the deck right now, we have the Hanged Woman. Hanged Woman is your card. This represents Pisces very much, but this is all about being in surrender mode, right? This is about that pause, because we're needing to get all the details, get all the facts, look at something from a different perspective. There's something that you guys are supposed to be sitting and waiting on and not doing so much movement on. I think there is kind of this push to kind of get things started, and I get it. But with this Hanged Woman and this Four of Swords, you're going to find that almost like being in this place of being alone, and not being in a place of being alone and feeling lonely or feeling sorry for yourself, but really being in a place of being alone and connecting to yourself. That's going to be the most powerful thing you can do. And that's when you hit that cosmic egg, moment of really completing a cycle, right? And really feeling harmonious and one with everything, right? Again, I think a lot of interaction this month might feel like a lot to you guys. So really honor that if you're feeling overwhelmed. Now, you've got the King of Swords, King of Wands, and the Hierophant card, right? Interesting. We've got air energy, fire energy, Taurus energy. King of Swords is what's in your environment. You may be dealing with the air sign person, of course, Gemini, Libra, or an Aquarius, but this is just someone who's very elevated in terms of their communication. One thing, though, to remind yourself about the King of Swords is King of Swords, they always go by what is most logical. They're a little bit more pragmatic in their thinking. So matters of the heart, not to say they don't honor it, but they're not going to honor it first. They're going to do what makes sense. So even when they're speaking to you, or even when they're making decisions, they lead with what makes sense more. Even if that dismisses how they feel, right? That's just how they are. It's like they go by law, right? Hanged Woman. I'm not even feeling so much like this is an air energy. I feel like this is someone that there needs to be communication between you and someone else, like getting very clear between you and someone else. But for some reason, you or they have been stalling in this. I think there's a little bit of a fear. And I also think that there's a little bit of, we're not sure. Like, I don't feel like you're fully sure what it is that you want. They may not be fully sure what they want. So then how can you communicate that with someone, right? At the bottom of the deck right now, we've got the Hermit card. That is Virgo energy, but that's all about seeking truth for oneself. That's about finding that solitude, kind of going back to that Four of Swords, kind of going back to that lizard card, finding the solitude, being by with oneself in order to figure out what you really need, what you really want, what really drives you, what are your passions, right? And if you guys have been like in a long-standing relationship for a long time and nothing's moved, it's because it's not supposed to right now. Neither one of you feel very clear. And until you do, again, until there's some kind of like aha, some type of awareness, it's hard to have these kind of talks because what are you really talking about? I think this month is going to challenge you in terms of some of the things that you guys thought and some of the directions that you thought you were going, you might be second guessing it. Now, some of you guys might be wrapped up in a fire sign person. Aries, Leo, Sagittarius. This is what's in your hopes and fears. Now, let's say, going along with the narrative of what I'm saying about you guys needing to have a talk, I think there's kind of like a hope that this could work out, right? Kings are always the most mature of their suit, right? So a King of Wands typically would be someone who's very charming, very charismatic, very much a go-getter. Someone who, they probably work for themselves or have a really good job. They're really passionate about the things that they do. But it feels like whatever it is that you guys are experiencing with this person, they are not that. It's almost like you're waiting for them. You've been waiting for them to get to their elevated king's place. And it's been a juggle, right? It's been a juggle. It's been kind of like a hard thing, right? It's been that Two of Pentacles of like, how do we weigh this out? I think some of you guys, if this is a person, there's been a lot of highs and lows experienced with this person. And so I think for a lot of you guys, there's been this like trying to weigh out the pros and cons. But it feels like it's this cyclical thing, right? Two of Pentacles, it has this 8-figure around it, and that's all about cycles kind of being repeated. And I think you guys are just kind of hoping that this person or this situation kind of grows and elevates into something more. But I will say it can't elevate beyond you. And some of you guys have things that you need to face within you before you can move forward with this person. Now, the Hierophant card is being clarified by the Emperor. Again, there's that Aries energy coming back out. I feel like there's a commitment that you guys want with this person. And it's quite possible that a commitment is what you're going to get. My only concern would be is look at the ways in which you may be settling. Because for some of you guys, it feels like if this is someone that you've been dealing with for a long time, it almost feels like this is the natural next step in terms of what society says, what the world says. But look at the ways that you may be settling. Because look, as added messages, you have the Lovers card, you have the Five of Swords, and you have the Six of Swords. I'm sorry, Six of Wands. Now, the fact that this Lovers card and Five of Swords are so close to each other, what this is telling me is like, okay, so Lovers card has to do with duality. It has to do with, yes, finding a love, but it also has to do with love of oneself. And again, you can't give to others in ways that you aren't able to give to yourself, right? And this is almost you looking at yourself and, really like being honest with yourself. Like, can you be that? Can you be your own lover for yourself? I hope I'm saying this right. I know I can see it in my head, but I don't know if I'm vocalizing it right. And I say that because like Five of Swords is about empty battles, right? No one wins, no one loses. It's kind of like there's a give up. But I'm looking at this and it's almost like the way that this Five of Swords is looking at the Lovers card. What are the things you're telling yourself? Are you being your own best friend? Are you being your own lover? Are you being all these things to yourself that you want your lover to be to you, right? Because we show people how to treat us by the way that we treat ourselves. And it's almost like, not to say that you can't have this love and not to say that you maybe don't have it, but I think this is definitely a check to make sure that we are being that with ourselves first and foremost. Because it feels like there are things that maybe in the past you've just overlooked because you just feel like, oh, well, this is just the way things are. And it doesn't have to be the way things are. Really look at the things. Eight of Pentacles, really work on yourself. I just want to say, like, before you guys really enter into a relationship, work on yourself. Seek your self-happiness. And then the Nine of Cups pops out. Because I feel like some of you guys are depending on this outside relationship to fulfill you and make you happy. And that's just not the way it works, right? And the sooner you guys realize it, the sooner you will have that type of relationship. And you could have it with that person. But there's something that there's some like realization you guys are needing to complete. There's some type of leveling up you guys need to complete. And I feel like it has to do with the way that you love yourself. Because once you love yourself, I mean, whatever we feel on the inside, it's reflected to us externally. Right? We are the image, and then we see whatever we see in our lives, but with our friendships, our families, our jobs, our relationships, it is our reflection. It is our mirror. And so there's something about this that I feel like you guys are coming to a completion, which is really, really good. It doesn't feel like this is like far-fetched, but I feel like this is like the last steps of what you guys are really working on, because I see that what you want is this commitment. A lot of you guys already have this person in your sights. A lot of you guys already know where you feel like you're going in terms of that. But just making sure that you are doing your work. Because yeah, for the type of love that you guys want and the type of love that you guys expect in return, that's what this requires. Like, you can absolutely jump into a half-assed relationship, but just making sure that you're checking in with you. Okay? Making sure that you are speaking wonderful, beautiful, motivational, loving things to you before you're trying to pass it off on other people. Because you're your number one lover. You know what I mean? You should be your number one lover. And I feel like if those of you Pisces who have been having issues in relationships and been feeling like you're hitting the same brick wall, and almost like going through the same issues, maybe with different people, different faces, it all comes back to the way that you're loving or not loving you. That's what this has to do with. So this is something that's fixable and solvable, but it's going to take you to like take a mirror and look at yourself. And there you've got the victory, right? Yeah. Okay. Savings. So it says, as you consistently save for your future is saved. You do your future self a big favor as you consistently set aside present funds. This is a part of your self-care and path to feeling secure as you focus upon your life purpose. Awesome. So making sure that you're being very mindful of your money this month. I don't see any issues with that. Just making sure that you're saving. You may have a lot of things that you're saving for coming up here. And for some of you guys, that could be a marriage. That could be an engagement. That could be like a higher level commitment with your person. But while you're doing the work and saving and doing all the monetary work and like, you know, saving the monies and making the plan of that, making sure that you are really tapped in with you. So that you're not repeating some maybe hurtful lessons that you've already had to go through, okay? So, and then you guys have chemistry. There's a strong magnetic attraction here. So again, I'm feeling a lot of fire energy. A lot of you guys may be connecting to fire, could be connecting to Gemini, Taurus. There's some air elements. This is a big time for you guys. But I think the main thing that you guys just need to be focusing on is your peace, your happiness. And then everything else will just kind of unfold the way it's supposed to. Because I feel like whatever's going on is already in the works. It's just a matter of you being able to manifest it faster. And the way that you're able to manifest it faster is by taking care of you first, okay? So I love you all. If you have any questions, would like a personal reading, definitely reach out to me. And I'll talk to you later. Bye, Pisces.